Once again, I want to ask you to reflect on the questions that you want to ask him. I also want to invite you, Your Majesty from Somalia, to please come forward. I want to include in this few-minute discussion with the audience Her Royal Majesty, who is here, Queen Timinipre Bubaraye Dakolo, who is the Igirigi one of the Ekpetiama Kingdom of the Bayelsa State, Nigeria. Your Royal Majesty, please come this way. We're going to have a few minutes questions with them now. There are a few things that resonated with me as you were presenting, beginning with Somalia. One of the things that you talked about, which has to do with nonviolent way of resolving conflict from and by the traditional indigenous leaders, is to, you say you don't have military might, traditional rulers, and so you do it non-violently, you remove your hat, which is very significant here, non-violence. And Your Majesty, King Bubaraye, you also talked about Nigeria and especially the Kingdom of Ekpetiama. And you are from the, we always say Ijo, the Ijo region of Nigeria, but you said the traditionally is called Izo. Izon. Very interesting. And you were actually located where the oil and gas of Nigeria, of course, Nigeria relies about 98% of Nigerian income comes from oil and gas, and your kingdom is right here. And you have the multilateral corporations like Shell Oil, Shell, Mobil, right, and other gas corporations, industries. They're all here, and they're all billionaires. And unfortunately, people in your kingdom, ordinary people, somehow suffering. No schools, and the roads are not good. You have water pollution, environmental damage, and all that, and you're suffering them. But one thing that you talked about that honestly made me think twice is a way to resolve those conflicts from the traditional point of view, that those who kill people, the way to punish them is by having an exchange, somebody from their family, in a way to prevent them from actually killing. So do we actually kill another person that didn't commit the crime? That probably will need to clarify a little bit. But here in the United States, killing is, you really talk so much about that, killing everywhere. And so how could we, from a positive point of view, try to probably punish those who kill and leave those who did not? There are a lot of positive things from there. So those are things to think about here. Your Majesty, Queen, you are helping a lot of women in your kingdom to begin to mobilizing them, begin to work for peace. We want to hear from you, just to share a little bit of how you are doing that in Nigeria. But I want to invite you to think about your questions. I'm going to give them the mic to respond to some of the things I talked about, and then I will take your questions. I will begin with Your Majesty.
Thank you very much. As I mentioned, Somali traditional elders, they do not have soldiers. But we make to pursue techniques to, and sometimes when the conflict arises between two clans, we take the council of traditional elders together and we go to the place where the conflict arises with our hats and traditional clothes. Then they respected us. Whenever they see that the regional elders come to the point, to the place, they put the guns and take everything and everything they become solved.
Okay, thank you so much. You raised a couple of observations. I think one bit may not be as clear. When you are not supposed to kill in my tradition, however, if you kill, you are going to pay, and you are going to be made to pay. And in paying, you bring your family members, women, 2 girls. Those girls will not be killed. They will be taken to the other community or family. They are going to procreate to replace the loss and enrich the earth. So nobody has been killed. Yes, jails are alien to us. Jails were brought by the Europeans, and it's still a problem today. So that is what is done. However, because of westernization, you know, we have a corporate government, we have a country where we have a so-called federal government, we have a state government, and we have a local government. And so we also have the Nigerian police. So today, for example, if you murder somebody, you could get the police. The police could come in, and then they will treat you the way the man in the story was treated. You know, they may not mind whether you have, that's your only son, they won't mind. Whether he killed your wife, they won't mind. They may just also kill him. But the police is not very effective. It is, a lot of it is fairly corrupt. And because of our traditional default setting, you could beg your way out of it. You could again come back to the tradition, and then they will look at it, and the man who has died, particularly if they do not see a deliberate motive for murder. They could go ahead, and somehow you probably may still live. So it is not exactly an eye for an eye. And you know that story. An eye for an eye means in a while everyone goes blind, or everyone will be one-eyed. So we don't believe in that. So right now we are in between westernization and the tradition. But we are seeing that westernization has not helped. There's no peace anywhere in this world, in spite of all the gadgets. And if tomorrow morning one madman triggers something, the whole world may go under. That is what we have done to ourselves. Our inventions that could have helped us with more food, with more this, with more that, is actually making us to lose our humanity. Empathy is gone. That's why in the beginning I had to thank Mercy College a lot, that yesterday I felt empathy. On my way to this place, I passed through Germany, Frankfurt, and somehow I mistakenly hit my shin on a desk somewhere. It was painful. I had to hop a bit. And there were so many people there. Not one person said, sorry. No one cared. That is not human. Human beings care, human beings cry. Human beings are empathetic. We are becoming machines. And there will be no hope if we continue this. It will be worse. If we do nothing about it, in the next 20 years or 30 years, we'll be like robots. Today we spend so much money in bulletproof doors, burglary-proof windows, and all kinds of barricades. just to ensure that the next man does not peep into your house and take away your children or take away your money or something. Yesterday on my way home, I boarded a taxi. A Senegalese was the driver. And we were talking, and he revealed a lot to me. He said back home he was in paradise. He didn't know that he's living in hell here. And his people think he's in paradise. And they always ask for money. That how he wished he had known that he was living in paradise. And he said here, they have one type of whip. And that whip is called the dollar whip. They flog you with that whip. So you make $100 a day, and then they take $300 for just one error. In my home, you will beg, say, please, I beg, no vex. I no. I didn't know that I broke your face. I didn't know your face was there. And he will look at it and will let you go. But here, the vase is 20 pounds. If you don't pay, you can't even go. The door is shut. So you must pay, or you go to jail. It is not helping. It may not be helping the society. I don't want to be the judge. But for the indigenous peoples, if we can get back there, where you have people who have empathy, meeting, respecting one another, a man and a woman having mutual respect, discussing a way forward. You can imagine my society, even crabs. Crabs had respect. There are some snakes you do not dare to kill. It's forbidden. They are worshipped. Before you cut a tree, you literally have to beg the tree that let me cut you for wood. Kind of. So I believe that if the indigenous people can come under one roof in some kind of new United Nations and then discuss with the objective of making progress on it, we are likely to achieve progress. Right now it is hypocrisy. The countries, what do you call them? Secret agencies. There may be some here. Secret agencies are determined to undermine the other countries. So what are you meeting for? You are pretending. Once there is too much peace and progress in a country, you trigger a war. That's what has been going on. Once there is so much oil and you can't access it well, and your so-called enemy is accessing it, you trigger a war. You kill the leader if he's so good. I'm afraid of Kigame. That's his name, right? Kigame, yes, the Rwandan man. I hear he's doing very well. I'm afraid for his life. Yes. That is how the system is. It doesn't want anyone else to make progress anywhere else. Are we humans? Do we feel pain? Anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Your Majesty Queen.
Thank you so much. Are we still in the morning? Good morning, everybody. Morning. I am Her Royal Majesty Queen Timinipre Bubaraye Dakolo from Nigeria, Ekpetiama Kingdom, the wife of His Royal Majesty King Dakolo. And the question, well, once you ascend the throne, your husband ascends the throne, your responsibility starts from that day. And you are considered as the oldest woman in the land. Your duty is to take care of the women and the children as well. And it's about 3 years or thereabouts that he became king. What I have done so far to bring peace among the women, I tried to go around the communities to meet the women leaders, There are 7 communities that made up the kingdom. And each of the communities, we have women leaders that are working with me, that are working under me. So there are cases they may not bring to me directly. The women leaders in the various communities will handle certain issues. And then the major ones, they will bring to my table. And even at that, we have to sit down and then discuss the way forward. Sometimes, because you are the oldest woman, they are seeing you as the wisest as well, your judgment is paramount. And there are situations where you will be sitting amongst very elderly women, experienced women traditionally, and it's like, in this kind of case, what do I do? But the expectation is that you are not just ordinary woman any longer from the day you are coronated. There are spirits, there are unseen forces that are with you. So whatever judgments you give, it is like the final judgment. Whatever you say is like command. Nobody will argue with you. Nobody will go against it. But again, you are not to side anybody. You have to tread, carefully. Otherwise, those forces will be against you also. So it's a dicey position where you have to be very, very, very careful. Sometimes, because of the way things are this day, the children, the youths, sometimes they are going out of their ways, which you cannot really put them under control immediately. So you have to what do I do? Like early this year, before the elections, I have to gather the Council of Women to see how we can talk to the youths. Some of these youths are taking hard drugs. So it's very difficult to control those ones. And they are ready to do all manner of things. They will threaten, they will carry out, So I have to assemble the women and see how best we can handle them so that there will be no bloodshed. We agreed that we will go to community by community, gather the youths, gather the women. So we carried out the campaign, and we tried to tell them stories that will convince them. Like some of the people that were contesting, their children are not even in Nigeria. Not to talk of carrying guns, to go and fight somebody. And the hard drugs, or the money they are giving them for hard drugs, they are not giving them to their children. So why you, the ordinary person, even after the elections, because you are not prepared, because you are a street guy, because you are a street child, nobody will consider you as anything. So why do you want to kill yourself? In the process, if you die, it is your parents that will suffer the loss and not the people that are contesting. So we came out, we went round, we begged the boys, the youths, and then also talk with the mothers, the women, to talk to their children at home in whichever way they can, convince them. And really, for the first time in history, according to reports, there was no problem, there was no ballot snatching, there was no gunshots in my kingdom. And it's like, you know, we succeeded. And then the second one was also a campaign in this year. We still went around because I realized that we had some strangers, visitors, that are coming into the kingdom to hide out, doing Yahoo, you know. That is what they call, yes, internet fraud, Yahoo boys. Where the women cannot, from the stories I heard though, that they are not free to, you know, spread their pants outside because these boys are using these underwears for money rituals. And they are introducing some funny things to the youths. So again, the report came to me, and everybody's looking up to you. So you have to start. Again, I called the women, begged them. We don't have to sit down, fold our hands. We went round again, this time, including the men too, although traditionally, I am not, whatever I am doing, I am not supposed to include the men because he is the head of the men folk, you know. But this time around, because it was so bad, I gathered the communities, and then let's see what we can do. Either we tell the fraudsters to leave our land or they should behave better. And this time around, we didn't just go peacefully, say to say, we were dressed in native war regalias, you know, chanting some war songs, you know. I was the leader, I was in front, you know. We carried out some placards, you know. We used some kind of threats, you know, by writing some things, you know. And again, we succeeded to an extent. These are some of the ways so far we are using. And as I said earlier, we are farmers, we are fishermen. So sometimes some disputes, land disputes, matters will come. And funny enough, you have to use your brain to solve this kind of disputes because the land in question, you can't even go and see, so you have to rely on both sides. That way, you have to listen carefully. Sometimes you have to give them some days, you know, for you to think about the whole matter, how to go about it. And sometimes when the case is so serious, you have to, like, you know, kind of going out your way to say, if you are the owner of the land, you know, we have to, like, take some kind of oaths, the two parties, and then the real owner will surface at the end of the day. And sometimes we handle marital cases. So, as the wife of the traditional ruler, you have to equip yourself, you know, your home, so that when you're handling this kind of cases, they will not say, why should I bring this kind of case to her when our home is not? So far, so good. Thank you.